after that because she was focused on her career. And do you know what? In some ways, I would rather have she'd found another companion, because it's part of life. It's part of what we are produced for.
Well, don't forget that the endless research shows that, as well as the 4 basic needs: air, food, water, shelter. If you want to be mentally and physically,
the 4 basic needs.
4 basic needs of air, food, water, shelter.
Okay, you mean the survival needs?
Correct. Then the next thing you need to be mentally and physically healthy and happy is a meaningful social network and a close family relationship.
Okay, so we're going into Maslow's hierarchy
not
of
quite,
needs and
no,
effects.
just keeping it simple.
Which is inaccurate, by the way.
Therefore, a lady who's CEO and not in any kind of happy, healthy relationship is going to be less likely to be mentally and physically healthy in the first place.
Well, we've talked a lot about women in this.
But the same goes for men, obviously, because of course the more women are being pushed into the marketplace, and when I say pushed, everyone's got a right to make their own informed decisions. That's completely different from being pushed. A lady has absolutely the right to say, I am passionate about this career, I want to do it. But they should be allowed to do it, not be forced into saying, you know what, do your career, but you have to have children and you have to be married and you have to be doing this and that and the other. That will just make everyone unhappy, and it'll be increasingly dysfunctional.
Do you know what? I'm all for equality in many things. You know, they say that men get paid more than women, but statistically they found that up until a certain age, women are actually getting paid more than men. It's when they decide that those are putting in the extra hours is when the men's pay actually goes up. And it really is to do with performance and what you actually produce. And the investment is, because I've got to say, with all this harassment thing that's been happening in the news recently, one thing I actually ended up asking myself when I was in the shower the other day, if I owned a company that employed people, I'd be better off having a single-sex company, because therefore what would happen is I wouldn't have to deal with things like harassment. I wouldn't have to deal with the emotional breakups of a relationship within the workplace.
Deal with all this transgender rubbish coming out.
Yeah. Well, I know, but if you actually look at certain organisations who are male only, they don't actually have half the problems that mixed employment has.
Give me an example of that. Prove it.
I didn't really want to bring the Freemasons into it, but if you look at something like a Freemasons, which is a men's-only society, and they talk about operating in harmony and things like that, one of the things that they offer from a distance, it's been going on for so long, and it's been so successful for so long, is because they don't actually have the argument. They don't have the argument over gender. They don't discuss religion. They don't discuss politics, from what I understand. They don't discuss religions or politics within there. There's no gender issues in there, and it's like there's a lot about the women empowerment right now. So women-only seminars and women-only companies and things like this. So it's all right for women to do it, but male-orientated industries don't seem to be under scrutiny for that.
Well, exactly. It's just the pendulum swinging and more silly political correctness. Do you know any statistics about single-sex schools and about exam results versus mixed schools?
No, I don't. Although I sent my daughter to a single-sex school.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't know enough about that.
What you say does make absolute sense, though, doesn't it? Because again, we're all animals. We're here to mate and get on with it. And of course, if you stick people together like that, then of course there will be attractions, and people do end up socialising with their work colleagues because that's when they spend most of their productive time.
That's correct. But the thing is, you want to. It's like a question was asked. A question was drawn up many years ago, and I'm not going to say I agree with it. But there was a guy who had employed several women for a sales role in a company, and within a 6-month period, I think he employed about 6 girls. In a 6-month period, 3 of those girls had fallen pregnant and were on maternity leave. Now, it was only a small company, and the thing is, they couldn't sustain the maternity leave for those people who actually who went on. Now, I believe in maternity, yet when you consider a small company like that, and the guy said to me, "Do you know what? I've been asked to not employ any women anymore within breeding age, because the problem was the company can afford it."
But you see, that's the whole point. Again, women respecting their employers. But a lot of women will, on purpose, go and have children, go on maternity, and actually, you know what? When they come back from maternity, they actually leave because they didn't want to work in the first place.
No, there are protections against things like this for women who do fall pregnant, but people don't always want to see the other side because it doesn't seem to be morally correct. Anyway, guys, I've got to say, I think we've worn this one to death right now. And if you've got any comments about that, I know it's probably a little bit controversial for some people on what we've actually said, but we would actually love to hear from you. We'd have to hear your thoughts. And should prostitution be made legal? Should drugs be made legal? And should and are women suffering from more stress? We would like to hear those thoughts. Thank you very much, guys, for listening, and we look forward to speaking to you next week.
Thank you for listening.
Bye-bye.